About 2 weeks ago now, maybe a bit longer by the time you're seeing this, some of you will have watched me unbox my new guitar, this headless Kyber 8-string by Kiesel. I asked Kiesel for this guitar after selling my Ibanez RGD MS8 because it was really pissing me off, and this is now my only 8-string. I originally asked Kiesel for an 8-string Vader because the Vader had been my favorite headless shape for a while, but they wanted me to try a new model instead, the headless version of the Kyber that came out earlier this year. My instructions, as far as specs go, were essentially roasted maple neck, hardtail, pink body, and make it really stupid. And it's safe to say that they delivered on that. This is by far the most ridiculous guitar I own, and I have a guitar with Kramer from Seinfeld on it. Powerpuff Girls color scheme aside though, this video is about the shape. The Kyber, and the headless version that launched shortly after it, as usual, received a lot of mixed feedback online from people who have never touched one. So I spent the past 2 weeks with it hands-on to give you a more educated scoop on it. As usual, this guitar was sent to me by Kiesel free of charge, but I pay 19% tax on these instruments, and this video takes work to script, record, and edit, all opinions on my own, yada yada. So let's start with the obvious. The Kyber shape is more or less just a modern take on a Super Strat, but with a focus on ergonomics. The contours and cutaways are designed for superior comfort and fret access, and it's also obvious that they actually considered classical position players while designing the Kyber, which is kind of rare. With a lot of headless guitars, the tuners on the bridge will quite uncomfortably dig into your thigh while playing in that position. Not so with this one. Something else they explicitly mentioned while convincing me to go for the headless Kyber over the Vader is that it has sort of a mini headpiece that allows it to stay in a wall hanger, unlike most headless guitars. I tried to verify that in the unboxing video, but I don't have a hanger wide enough for an 8-string neck anyway. I do quite like that sharp harpoon tip thing they've gone for with this though, as opposed to just making it flat like with most headless guitars. Now here is something that when I first saw it, I thought I might hate. Both strap pegs on this headless Kyber are on the back of the body. Now having the top strap peg on the back of the horn is a standard thing on a lot of modern guitars, and what I really appreciate because it sits much more balanced while standing up. Ibanez, for example, don't really do this, and I have friends who literally played shows with the straps taped to the top horn of their Super Strats because of this. But the bottom peg will usually be positioned on the side of the body, and while yes, this is made thinner than the rest of the body in order to accommodate for the bridge, there would still be room for a screw in here without risking it breaking. But let me tell you, I wish all of my guitars had this configuration. It's not super convenient for the strap, because there is no way around having some part of it twisted while wearing it, but who cares? The strap pegs are positioned to make sure this guitar does not move while it's strapped to you, and I love that so much more than I thought I would. And something I did know I would love as soon as I laid eyes on it is the truss rod nut. Because unlike most headless guitars, the Kyber doesn't come with a spoke wheel nut. It's a standard one inside the little headpiece. Super easy access with any length of Allen wrench, and I personally just fucking hate the spoke wheels. They have failed me too many times, and I would never order a custom build that has one. They seem convenient at first because you can just kind of use any long pokey object and don't have to have the right size of Allen wrench, but they fucking suck. The first time one fails on you, you will join me on that side. I do sort of wish it had a 0 fret because on headless guitars and multi-scale especially, I tend to prefer a 0 fret. These GTRS headless guitars have one and I have grown quite fond of it. But besides that, this might be the best 8-string I've ever tried. A few people commented under the unboxing that I was a shill and whatnot, and the only reason I switched from Ibanez to Kiesel is because I got it for free, but I didn't pay for the Ibanez either. I just don't make whatever somebody gives me my daily driver because they gave it to me. It needs to be the right instrument. And that's putting aside the fact that, like I said, I pay taxes on the guitars that I receive free of charge. Germany loves its taxes, I'm not exempt from that. You send me something, I pay 19% of the retail value of it. I'm not ruling out that another 8-string might find its way into my collection eventually, but for the time being, This is the only one I need. The standard Kaiba with a headstock is cool, but I personally think the headless version is something that was missing. It's simple, but it's ergonomic, it's well balanced, and it does that without looking like shit, like a lot of intentionally ergonomic guitar shapes tend to do. There are even some Kiesel ones that are very clearly made to be extremely ergonomic, like the new Devin Townsend signature model, that just don't look all that good. And a lot of Kiesel shapes are far from ergonomic. Something like the Dan Sugarman signature or the Crescent, with their extremely round bellies, are not what I would choose if I was going for what's most comfortable. The Kaiba isn't exactly reinventing the wheel, but it's like when people realized they could make better wheels than the ones that everybody else was already making. And you know what else? These start at $1,600 for a very basic spec custom build, which is as affordable as a Kiesel gets. Models like the Ares, Delos, and the Z2 headless start at $1,650, and everything else is usually closer to $1,700 or far, far above that. I'm talking about the starting point, the base spec price of these models. And so the Kaiba, both headless and standard, are the cheapest ones available. I actually went ahead and spec'd one out in the builder to see how crazy you can get and still be the cheapest brand new Kiesel, and I landed on a headless Kaiba 6-string with a black limber body, roasted maple neck, royal ebony fretboard. $1,629, cheapest Kiesel on the market, brand new. You could also have gone for any solid color finish on that, but I just really like black limber. And then I went ahead and built my exact one in the configurator to see what it would cost, because I didn't actually know that, and it was $2,100 for this thing. Holy shit. Now, if you're outside the US or Canada, the shipping cost is going to be astronomical, and there are going to be some pretty fucked up import duties. In my case, in Germany, if I had purchased this from Kiesel, the import fees would be likely upwards of 20%. But if you're in the US or Canada, which most of my audience is because this is an English-speaking channel, this instrument is truly peak. And I know some of you may think it's ugly as shit, but that's sort of the charm of a custom shop company. You can order whatever you want. This one's mine. I've played a lot of extended range instruments since I got into playing stupid caveman music, and the only guitars that I've ever played that were better than this one, in the 7 or 8 string range, cost upwards of $5,000. Not 2,100. As far as the specs go on here, I don't know what the bodywood is. I do know that this is roasted maple because I asked for that. It's an ebony fretboard. I don't know what pickups are in here. Presumably just whatever the configurator defaults to. They sound fucking great. 3-way selector, push-pull coil split. Hardtail, I don't know if this is a hip shot. I know their headless tremolos are hip shot. I don't know if these are. And that is it. That's the only thing I wanted. I could have gone crazier with it, I'm sure, but I didn't want to because this is fun. Let me just hit you with a little mixed track that I wrote. Ah, sweet drivel. I don't exactly know what the title of this video is going to be yet, but I think this is one of the best headless guitars currently on the market, whether you're going for a 6, 7, or 8 string, and it's also absolutely worth the hype that it received. I'm not exactly sure how they got away with calling it the Kyber, because I believe Kyber is the name of like a gemstone used in a lightsaber in Star Wars, and I know how protective Disney are of their IP, but I'm not an intellectual property lawyer. That is not my thing to worry about. But yeah, there are not many things that get super hyped up in the guitar world that I would be willing to admit are worth the hype that they are receiving, but this is one of those things. So thank you for watching this video, thank you to Kiesel for making it possible in the first place, and also for giving me my current only 8 string, and presumably my only 8 string for a while. Links in the description to get one of your own, and I'll see you around.